That decision repeated becomes identity, and that identity becomes unstoppable. You've spent enough of your life waiting to be ready. You've waited for signs, for support, for someone to validate you. But that waiting has only delayed your rise, because the truth is readiness is a myth, is a myth. Nobody feels fully ready, not in the beginning. But those who succeed aren't the ones who wait to be fearless. They're the ones who act while fear still whispers. They don't need to feel perfect. They move anyway. They show up, they speak up, they take the step, they take the step. And every time they do, their confidence grows stronger, louder, more real. Your transformation starts the moment you stop negotiating with your potential, the moment you stop explaining why you're not there yet, the moment you stop looking around for examples and start becoming one. You are the evidence, you are the standard. You are the storm that doesn't apologize for its strength, and no matter who told you otherwise. There is nothing humble about hiding your greatness. True humility is honoring the gift you've been given by becoming everything you're capable of being. Not halfway, not when it's convenient, fully. So choose to move today like you are already the one, not in arrogance, but in truth, not in pride, but in power. Carry yourself as if the world already recognizes your name, as if your destiny is not up for debate. As if the only thing that matters now is how far you're willing to go with what's already inside you. Because it is inside you. Everything you need to rise has already been placed within you. You are not waiting on the right moment. You are the moment. You are the moment. And the more you act like it, the more the world will bend to the strength of your certainty. There is no force more powerful than a mind made up. When you decide you are the best, you begin to attract what the best attracts. Energy shifts, focus sharpens, doubt dissolves. You stop chasing approval and start walking in purpose. Your decision becomes your identity. Your identity becomes your destiny. The moment you choose to believe you are the best, everything around you starts to reflect that belief. You no longer tolerate distractions that weaken your focus. You stop entertaining voices that question your worth. You walk with a different posture, not because the world gave you permission, but because you finally gave it to yourself. This is not about pretending. This is about stepping into alignment with the version of you that's always been waiting to emerge. The version of you that doesn't beg for validation. The version of you that walks into any room and doesn't look around to see who's better. Because you've already decided. Belief is not passive, it's active. You don't just feel powerful, you live powerfully. You wake up with purpose. You move with intensity. You speak with conviction. And when challenges come, you meet them head on. Not as someone hoping to win, but as someone who's already won internally. That shift changes everything. Because when you believe you're the best, you stop fearing failure. You stop overthinking every step. You begin to trust yourself to move faster, to execute without hesitation. And that energy becomes magnetic. Others start to follow, not because you ask them to, but because leadership naturally flows from confidence. You must understand that this level of belief is not about arrogance. It's about ownership. Arrogance seeks superiority. Ownership accepts responsibility. Ownership says, if I am the best, then I carry myself like it. I train like it. I speak like it. I perform like it. Because anything less would be a lie. You cannot keep acting like you're unsure and expect the results of someone who is certain. Certainty is not a gift. It is built through consistent, aligned action. Every time you make a decision that reflects your highest standard, you reinforce the truth that you are the best. Not someday, not maybe. Now, there's a part of you that has always known this. The part that feels restless when you shrink. The part that gets uncomfortable when you play it safe. That discomfort is not weakness. It's the signal that your spirit is starving for your full potential. The world doesn't need another person pretending to be small. The world needs you, fully alive, fully awake, and fully committed to becoming everything you were designed to be. And that begins by acting like it's already true. So carry yourself with the posture of someone who has already achieved everything they desire. Make decisions from that place. Speak from that place. Work from that place. Work from that place. Discipline yourself not out of pressure, but out of purpose. Because the best don't work harder out of fear. They work relentlessly out of clarity. You're not proving anything to anyone. You're fulfilling something within yourself. You're not competing with others. You're rising to meet the version of you that refuses to settle. Own that. Embody it. Let it become the energy that defines your presence. Because when you act like the best, you leave no room for doubt. Only results. If your mind can be trained to believe in limitation, it can be trained to believe in power. You were not born insecure. You were not created to doubt yourself. Somewhere along the way, you adopted beliefs that told you to shrink. Somewhere you were taught to blend in, to keep quiet, to not stand out too much. But that programming can be reversed. That inner script can be rewritten. It starts with a new instruction to your brain. I am the best, and I carry myself like it. When you consistently feed your mind with that message, you rewire your identity. You begin to speak differently, think differently, and behave differently. The energy you give off becomes unshakable. People feel it before you open your mouth. They sense it in your eyes, your voice, your presence. This is the energy of someone who doesn't beg for a seat at the table because they know they are the table. You don't need more time to become confident. You need more repetition. You need more moments where you choose to override fear with action. Confidence doesn't come from affirmations alone. It comes from courage. It comes from doing the things you were once afraid to do and realizing you didn't break. You grew, you expanded. And with every small act of boldness, you built a layer of belief. That's how it works. Identity is built through behavior. And when your behavior matches your desired identity, the mind aligns. Your inner world syncs with your outer movement. That's when transformation becomes permanent. You can't keep thinking like the old you and expect to become the new you. The way you speak to yourself in private determines how powerfully you move in public. Stop saying you're trying. Stop saying you're figuring it out. Stop saying you're almost there. Words shape reality. And your words must now match the vision you carry. Speak like the best. Think like the best. Walk like the best. The world doesn't give opportunities to those who wait. It responds to those who claim. You don't rise by wishing. You rise by moving with the boldness of someone who already owns the outcome. Every time you hesitate, every time you hold back, you reinforce the lie that you are not ready. But when you decide that you are enough just as you are, you free yourself to grow without shame. You stop seeking perfection and start embracing progress. You begin to trust the process, not because it's easy, but because you know who you are becoming through it. And who you are becoming is not fragile, not uncertain, not average. You are becoming someone who leads with certainty, creates with confidence, and dominates with clarity. That is your truth. That is your path. And that power is available to you right now. The greatest turning point in your life is not when others finally see your value. It's when you finally stop asking them to. It's when you stop trying to prove and start to embody. When you realize you are the one you've been waiting for. No one is coming to crown you. That crown is internal. That royalty is in your blood. But only you can activate it. Only you can rise into it. Only you can speak like the best before anyone else believes you are. And once you do, everything begins to change. Not because the world got easier, but because you got stronger. You stopped negotiating. You stopped explaining. You stepped into the arena like it was already yours. That is the energy that separates the extraordinary from the forgotten. This mindset isn't a phase. It's a discipline. It's a daily decision to look in the mirror and declare that you are more than enough. It's standing tall even when your mind whispers doubt. It's pushing forward when excuses feel loud. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be legendary, to shake the ground with your presence, to show others what certainty looks like. Because the world is full of people with talent who never gave themselves permission to be great. But that's not your story. You are not most people. You don't wait to be noticed. You choose to be undeniable. What happens when you act like you're the best? You begin to do things most won't. You take the hard road. You put in the extra hour. You speak up when others shrink. And because of that, you grow faster. You learn quicker. You develop resilience most never touch. And that resilience becomes your edge. It becomes your confidence. It becomes your armor. While others are hoping for strength, you are building. While others are seeking validation, you are generating certainty. This is the difference between wishing and owning, between watching others win and deciding that you were never born to watch. You were born to lead. You've waited long enough. The clock doesn't stop. The world doesn't pause for your fear. And if you don't step up now, you'll stay trapped in a version of yourself that was never meant to last. Comfort is not your friend. It's the cage that convinces you to accept less. But there is something in you that knows deep down that you can't stay small forever. The longer you play small, the more painful it becomes. You weren't created to regret your life. You were created to master it. The greatest freedom you will ever feel comes from making a decision you no longer question. A decision to be the best. A decision to live, speak, move, and think as if the world is already waiting for you to show up at full capacity. And when you do that, when you truly embrace that mindset, you tap into a level of power that few ever touch. You become unstoppable. Not because you're perfect, but because you decided to act like it before anyone else saw it. That is how belief is built. That is how greatness is born. And that is how your story begins. Right now, if you could see who you're capable of becoming, you'd never waste another second doubting yourself. The vision of your highest self is not a fantasy. It's a blueprint. It's already within you, waiting to be activated by decision, reinforced by repetition, and strengthened by disciplined action. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every movement you make is either pulling you closer to that version or keeping you tied to the one you've outgrown. You cannot live in alignment with greatness while still feeding the habits of hesitation. You cannot walk like a champion while entertaining thoughts of inferiority. To rise, you must break the patterns that keep you ordinary. That begins with a choice to act like you're already extraordinary. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you demand from yourself. And when you raise the standard internally, everything external starts to rearrange to match it. People treat you differently. Opportunities present themselves, not because anything changed around you, but because something changed inside you. You became someone who no longer entertains mediocrity. You became someone who walks in a room like you already belong there. That kind of energy doesn't need explanation. It doesn't need credentials. It simply is. As it's felt before it's spoken. It creates certainty in others because it was first created in you. The way you see yourself sets the tone for every experience you will ever have. If you see yourself as average, you will tolerate average conversations, average habits, and average results. If you see yourself as powerful, you will reject environments that don't elevate you. You will move faster, think clearer, and expect more from every moment. This is not about delusion. It's about discipline. You are programming your subconscious to reject anything that does not match the identity of someone who is the best. Not better than others, but better than who you were yesterday. That's the goal. Relentless internal elevation. And you can't elevate your life with weak language. Words have energy. They're not just sounds. They're signals. When you say, I hope, I wish, I'm trying, you're broadcasting hesitation. You're building a mental ceiling. But when you say, I will, I am, on this, your mind wakes up. Your body responds. Your focus sharpens. Speak like your future depends on it. Because it does. Your words are your commands. Your tone is your alignment. The world is what you believe by how you speak. And belief is magnetic. It pulls people, events, and results toward you with precision. Your identity must be more than an idea. It must be an experience. Every action, every moment, every breath must reflect the energy of someone who refused to be overlooked. You are not asking for recognition. You are embody asking for recognition. So consistently that recognition becomes inevitable. And that level of excellence isn't found in convenience. It's forged in discipline, in getting up early, in staying late, in giving more when it's easier to give up, in speaking life into yourself when no one else sees what you see. That's what separates the few who lead from the many who wait. The ones who win are not always the most talented. They are the most certain, the most locked in, the most consistent. Because when your identity is rooted in truth and your actions reflect that truth, nothing can shake you. Not failure, not doubt, not delay, not delay. You don't get discouraged. You get focused. You don't panic. You pivot. You don't retreat. You rise. And that kind of resilience only comes when you stop asking for permission to be powerful. The moment you act like you are the best, you declare that your life will no longer be dictated by fear, by others, or by the past. You take control. You decide the tone. You set the pace, and nothing can stop someone who's already become in their mind what the world is yet to see. You are no longer just hoping to succeed. You are preparing for it. You are moving like it's already yours. You are walking like the path has already been cleared. By your decision, by your focus, by your refusal to quit. And when that becomes your daily standard, life bends to match your energy. Doors open, people listen, resistance fades, Because you've stopped matching the frequency of fear and started operating from the vibration of victory. That shift cannot be faked. It cannot be rushed. It must be chosen every day without exception. You don't have to scream to be powerful. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. Just be it. Be undeniable. Be unshakable. Be so consistent that the old version of you wouldn't even recognize what you've become. You've outgrown explaining why you're still waiting. You've outgrown hoping that someday someone will notice. Now you notice. Now you validate yourself. Now you step into rooms knowing you carry something rare, something strong, something the world didn't give you and can't take away. And when you lead with that energy, you don't need to chase success. You become the reason it shows up. There is no room for hesitation when you've already decided who you are. You've wasted enough time wondering if you're good enough, if you're ready, if you're worthy. That questioning ends the moment you choose to embody certainty. Not just speak it, live it, own it. When you begin to move with that level of clarity, something fundamental shifts in your energy. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop waiting and start creating. Then start creating. The world feels your shift because it radiates from within. The doubt that once held you back loses its grip, and in its place, power takes root. Real power. The kind that doesn't fluctuate with mood, opinion, or circumstances. The kind that is built on a decision you made and never looked back from. You don't need permission to act like the best. You need responsibility. Responsibility to your calling. Responsibility to the potential within you. The weight you carry is not a burden. It's a signal that you're meant to rise. That pressure you feel, that proof you're capable. That inner tension, that's the stretch required to elevate. Stop shrinking to fit the comfort of others. Stop diluting your presence to meet people's expectations. Your job is not to be liked. Your job is to be aligned. And when you are fully aligned with your purpose, you don't need applause to know you're on the right path. You move in silence, you work with discipline, and you operate like success is your baseline, not your dream. The voice inside you that keeps pushing for more is not restlessness, right? It's accurate. It's the part of you that sees beyond your current reality. It knows what you're capable of, even when you've forgotten. That voice isn't asking you to prove yourself. It's calling you to remember. Remember who you are without fear, without apology, without delay. Without delay. The world doesn't need more perfection. It needs more presence. More people who are fully awake to their potential and unwilling to play small another day. That's you. That's your role. That's your moment. You cannot lead a powerful life with a powerless self-image. Every time you speak with uncertainty, you train your brain to doubt your own voice. Every time you let fear dictate your pace, you signal that fear is your master. But you were never made to serve fear. You were made to lead with conviction. Your words, your decisions, your presence must declare who you are before the world confirms. When your belief in yourself becomes non-negotiable, you break every limit that ever existed in your mind. You stop identifying with the version of you that hesitates and start embodying the version of you that dominates. You are not aspiring to become powerful. You are remembering that you always were. The process isn't about creating something new. It's about releasing what you've buried under doubt, fear, and hesitation. It's about stripping away the noise and standing in the truth of your strength. When you act like you're the best, your life begins to reflect it. You make sharper decisions. You trust your instincts. You set higher boundaries. You take bold action, not because the path is clear, but because your vision is. You don't need every step figured out. You just need to trust that the next one will appear when you move. That's how leaders think. That's how champions live. The world you want will not be given. It will be commanded. It will be commanded.
Claimed, created through consistent, unshakable belief in who you are. No more waiting for signs. You are the sign.
No more hoping for breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. No more shrinking for acceptance. You are the standard now. You are the example. You are the evidence that power isn't handed out. It's owned. If you want to lead, then lead now. If you want to rise, rise now. If you want to dominate your space, your craft, your life, start by walking like it's already yours. You don't become the best by asking for it. You become the best by acting like it every day until the world has no choice but to agree. Until your results make it undeniable. Until your consistency becomes louder than any doubt. And when you reach that level, you don't have to say much. Your presence does the talking. Your actions carry the weight of your belief. And your discipline becomes your legacy. This isn't about hype. This is about identity. This is about who you are willing to become when nothing can distract you from your truth. So move like it's already done. Train like the world is watching. Speak like your words shape reality, because they do. Lead like your actions create momentum, because they will. The moment you act like the best, you shift everything inside you. And when that shift happens, nothing around you can remain the same. You elevate, you influence, you create impact. Not by chance, but by choice. And the choice is yours right now. Greatness does not arrive by accident. It responds to discipline, to belief, to the relentless decision to walk in the energy of someone who knows who they are. When you act like the best, you're not pretending, you're positioning. You are positioning your mind, your body, your choices, your energy to rise above the noise, to outlast the excuses, to silence the doubt that once owned your inner world. You're no longer looking outside for a reason to believe. You are the reason, you are the proof. And every time you carry yourself with that knowing, something in you strengthens, something in you solidifies. You stop needing motivation because you become the standard. You built a rhythm of excellence that no one has to remind you to maintain. This is the power of identity in motion. When your identity is no longer shaped by circumstances but by conscious alignment, you become immovable. You don't rise and fall with opinions. You don't waver when challenges come. You face pressure with certainty because you've trained yourself to see pressure as a signal, not a threat. The average person looks at pressure and retreats, but your mindset has been conditioned differently. You understand pressure is what forges power, and you no longer run from it. You step into it because you know on the other side of that pressure is another layer of your potential waiting to be claimed. You cannot move like a leader while thinking like a follower. The moment you adopt the belief that you are the best, you begin rejecting everything that contradicts it. That means letting go of people who feed your fear. That means cutting habits that reinforce weakness. That means refusing to participate in conversations that lower your standard. Everything in your life must begin to match the energy of the person you say you are. You don't get to call yourself great and live passively. You don't get to declare power and then act from fear. Every part of your life becomes a reflection of your decision. And that decision, when lived out fully, changes everything. You are not here to hope things improve. You are here to make them improve. You are here to lead yourself first, to demand more from every moment, to bring intensity where most bring laziness. And when you consistently do that, when you consistently walk in alignment with the identity of someone who knows they are built to win, your life begins to take shape in ways you never imagined. Not because of luck, but because of law. The law of identity, the law of consistency, the law of belief backed by action. When those things align, the gap between who you are and who you want to be disappears. You start becoming a force that others feel. You walk into rooms and shift the energy without saying a word. You speak and people listen, not because you talk louder, but because you carry weight. You move with the kind of clarity that can't be faked, the kind of focus that can't be taught in a book, the kind of fire that only comes from deciding you will not be denied. That fire is not a spark, it's a lifestyle. It's the discipline to show up with intensity even when no one is clapping. It's the decision to execute with excellence even when no one is watching, because you're not doing it for attention. You're doing it because that's who you are now. When you act like the best, mediocrity becomes intolerable. You feel it when you start to settle. You sense it the moment your habits drop below your standard. And because your identity has been rewired, you self-correct. You don't wait to crash. You recalibrate in real time. That level of self-awareness, that level of self-leadership is rare. And that's exactly why you will win. Because while others are distracted, you're locked in. While others are waiting to feel inspired, you moved. While others are making excuses, you're making progress. And that separation, created by consistency, is the space where transformation lives. You are no longer available for anything that contradicts your greatness. Not conversations, not laziness, not fear, not doubt. You've made a contract with your future and broken your agreement with mediocrity. That's what this path requires. Ruthless alignment, radical belief, relentless repetition. You are not here to blend in. You are here to dominate your lane, to live fully, to leave nothing behind. And when you show up with that intention, life opens. Doors you couldn't force before begin to open on their own. People who never noticed you begin to lean in, not because you changed for them, but because you became fully yourself. So don't look around for validation. Don't wait for applause. Move as if your success is inevitable. Because the only difference between those who live at the top and those who don't is the level of identity they choose to operate from. The best decide that they are long before the results catch up. And when you live from that decision, day after day, you don't just perform differently, you become different. You elevate, you inspire, you lead. And your life begins to reflect everything you've declared in silence. This is what it means to act like the best. Not to impress, but to express who you truly are. Relentlessly, unapologetically, fully. To step into the life you were born to live, you must first master the one you've been given. Master your thoughts, master your discipline, master your decisions. Because everything you're waiting for is already within reach, but it can only be accessed by the version of you that refuses to settle. That version doesn't wait to feel ready. That version doesn't ask for permission. That version doesn't entertain fear, doesn't validate limitation, doesn't indulge the inner voice that whispers a maybe later. That version of you moves, decides, shows up again and again. So there's no distinction between belief and reality. The gap between who you were and who you are becoming closes every time you act in alignment with your highest self. That is the daily war. The battle between comfort and destiny, between the known and the necessary, between habits that preserve weakness and those that provoke greatness. And every time you choose the path of resistance, every time you push past the pull to shrink, you rise. Not in fantasy, but in real power. You rise with every repetition of discipline. You rise with every rejection of mediocrity. You rise when you stop negotiating with yourself and start commanding yourself. When you carry the weight of purpose, distractions begin to fade. The excuses that once made sense lose their power. The limitations you once accepted are no longer tolerable. You begin to demand more from life because you demanded more from yourself. And that demand isn't loud, it's not boastful. It's internal, firm, unshakable. It's the kind of resolve that says, this is who I am now, and nothing less is acceptable. You build that resolve when you decide that your standard is non-negotiable. When you decide that how you do anything is how you do everything. And that decision becomes the compass that guides your actions, your focus, your response to adversity. Adversity doesn't break you anymore. It refines you. You've shifted from being reactive to proactive. You're not waiting to see how things unfold. You are unfolding them through your intention. You've made a shift so powerful that it becomes felt in everything you touch. You stop needing motivation because you built momentum. You stop needing praise because you found purpose. You stop looking for signs because you've become the signal. This is what happens when your life becomes a reflection of the identity you've chosen, not the one the world tried to assign you. You're not shaped by circumstances, you shape them. You don't adapt to your environment, you elevate it. Your presence commands clarity. Your energy shifts atmospheres. Your discipline sets the tone. And all of it comes from one decision to act like the best because you've accepted that you are. That acceptance is not arrogance, it's alignment. You're not competing with anyone, you're aligning with your calling. And in that alignment, everything begins to change. You no longer look for shortcuts. You no longer chase quick wins. You are invested in the process, committed to mastery, addicted to rising. You don't move based on how you feel. You move based on who you are. And who you are is someone who leads, someone who finishes, someone who refuses to stop until the mission is complete. That level of certainty becomes magnetic. Opportunities are drawn to it. Respect follows it. Results are built from it. And once you taste what it feels like to live from that space, there's no going back. The version of you that doubted, that delayed, that avoided responsibility cannot survive in this atmosphere. You've outgrown it. You've evolved. And now everything you do is rooted in purpose, precision, and power. You wake up with clarity. You move with conviction. You operate with intention, because greatness is not an event, it's a way of being. It's the way you carry yourself in silence, the way you prepare when no one is looking, the way you execute when no one is clapping. That's what separates you, not talent, not luck. Discipline, relentless, daily, uncompromising discipline. And when that discipline is driven by vision, when that vision is backed by belief, when that belief is executed through action, your results stop being random. They become inevitable. You no longer hope. You build. You no longer wonder. You work. You work. And that work becomes the proof, the foundation, the force that turns potential into power. You are no longer waiting for the world to recognize your greatness. You've already recognized it. You've already claimed it. And now, everything you do is simply the expression of that truth. You don't shrink. You don't stall. You don't settle. You step. You lead. You dominate. You decide that every moment is an opportunity to reinforce your identity, to honor your calling, to embody your purpose. And when you show up like that, when you live like that, you don't just change your results, you change your reality. Because reality always bends to the identity that refuses to bend under pressure. That's who you are now, and that's who you will continue to become. Absolutely. Here's the next section, exactly 500 words, with seamless emotional and motivational momentum. You were never meant to live at half capacity. You were never designed to blend in, to remain silent, to sit on potential while the clock of purpose keeps ticking. There is something in you that refuses to be ignored. It aches to be unleashed. It's not ambition for applause. It's hunger for fulfillment. The kind that burns quiet but strong beneath your thoughts, behind your eyes, beneath your breath. And it will keep pressing until you respond. Every time you hold back, it grows louder. Every time you conform to what's average, it stirs with unrest. Because you were created for distinction, not imitation. You are not here to repeat what's been done. You are here to redefine what's possible. That requires a different level of presence, a different level of discipline, a different level of intensity. The moment you stop diluting your power to fit in, everything begins to align. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop seeking validation. You stop asking for clarity from people who don't carry your vision. You begin to trust the fire that's been placed inside you. That trust becomes the spark that lights everything. You no longer need evidence to move. Your belief is enough. You no longer wait for approval to rise. Your inner standard leads the way. You shift from external permission to internal precision. You don't guess, you don't hope, you build, you don't wish, you execute. The more you commit to that version of yourself, the more unstoppable you become. Not because life gets easier, but because you become unshakable. The pressure that used to paralyze you now activates your excellence. The challenges that once overwhelmed you now awaken your capacity. You begin to realize that power was never something you had to chase. It was something you had to choose. You begin to see that your results were never about circumstances. They were always about decisions. And when you take full responsibility for your standard, your habits, your environment, your focus, you take back control of your life. This is where transformation begins. Not in the comfort of routine, but in the fire of intention. You do not rise by chance. You rise by choice. The choice to show up when it's hard. The choice to speak when it's uncomfortable. The choice to move when everything around you says stay still. That choice becomes your freedom. Your freedom. It becomes your leverage. It becomes the line that separates who you used to be from who you are becoming. Every day you cross that line, you reinforce your greatness. Every day you reject compromise. You reclaim your destiny. Every day you act in alignment with your vision. You accelerate the life that belongs to you. This is not about hype. This is not about momentary motivation. This is about long-term identity. And when your identity is forged in discipline, when your identity is sculpted in intention, when your identity is anchored in truth, there is no force that can stop what you've decided to become. Of course, below is the next section, exactly 500 words, written in pure voiceover style with deep emotional momentum and unwavering motivational force. You cannot afford to live passive in a world that demands your power. Life will not hand you significance. You must claim it. You must decide once and for all that excuses are beneath you and hesitation is no longer an option. You've been given breath today not to exist, but to build. You are alive to disrupt mediocrity with the force of your excellence. That decision requires a new posture, a mental positioning that refuses to bow to fear, to settle for less, to stay quiet when your spirit is crying for more. You do not rise by waiting, you rise by acting, and not just once, but relentlessly. Repetition becomes your ally, discipline becomes your weapon, consistency becomes your identity. When your life is guided by principle instead of emotion, nothing external can destabilize your drive. You stop reacting to circumstances and start commanding your environment. You don't shrink in adversity, you expand. You don't retreat in discomfort, you intensify. Because you understand now that the resistance is not your enemy. It is your invitation to rise higher, dig deeper, and unlock strength you never knew was buried within you. When your vision is clear, your energy follows. You begin to eliminate distractions not out of guilt, but out of devotion. You do not waste your hours anymore. You guard them with fierce intention. You do not give your time to what weakens you. You pour it into what builds you. Every decision becomes a reflection of who you are becoming. You no longer ask if you feel like it. You act because it aligns with your destiny. You lead yourself before you lead anything else. And that internal leadership changes everything. It creates momentum in your life that no external force can stop, because momentum born from integrity is stronger than temporary motivation. It is rooted in clarity, it is built on value, and it is fueled by a fire that cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. When that fire burns in you, every obstacle becomes fuel, every failure becomes data, every delay becomes development. You do not crumble, you evolve. You do not regress, you reinforce your stand. You stop looking for signs and start creating them. You stop praying for doors to open and start becoming the one who builds them. Your movement becomes your message. Your discipline becomes your declaration. You walk like someone who knows they are backed by purpose. You speak like someone who knows their words carry weight. You think like someone who knows their future is already under construction. And you live like someone who refuses to die full of potential. The world may doubt you, but you will not. The world may resist you, but you will rise anyway. Because you know now the greatest threat to your purpose is not failure, it's comfort. The most dangerous enemy to your calling is not rejection, it's complacency. And the greatest gift you can give to the world is the fully awakened, fully aligned, and fully committed version of you. That version is not in the distance. That version is one decision away. Absolutely. Here's the next section, exactly 500 words, continuing the same emotional intensity and motivational rhythm. Every time you choose action over hesitation, you build the architecture of a stronger mind. Every time you override doubt with determination, you are conditioning yourself for victory. Discipline is not something you wait to feel. It's something you decide to become. You don't need more chances. You need more commitment. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. The war is not around you. The war is within you. And until you win that war, everything external will feel overwhelming. But when you conquer the war inside, when you take dominion over your thoughts, your habits, your responses, there is nothing in this world that can restrain your advancement. Every setback turns into strategy. Every challenge turns into an opportunity to dominate your own weaknesses. Because you are not here to repeat your past, you are here to rewrite your pattern. And every day you rise, you remind yourself, I am not what I used to tolerate. I am not who I was when I was unaware of my strength. I have evolved. I have seen what I carry. And I will not shrink back into silence or stagnation. I will expand. I will align. I will command my life with purpose. When your vision is saturated with truth, distractions lose their grip. Distractions lose their... You no longer entertain environments that drain you. You no longer negotiate with habits that sabotage you. You choose environments that reflect your future, not ones that comfort your past. You demand more from yourself, not from ego, but from understanding. Because you finally see the cost of playing small. You finally understand the price of staying comfortable. And now you are unwilling to go back. You are unwilling to dilute your identity to make others feel secure. You are unwilling to waste your fire proving yourself to people who will never understand your mission. Your focus is sacred. Your energy is valuable. Your time is non-refundable. You spend it only on what builds your character, stretches your soul, and multiplies your capacity. That's the shift. That's the rise. And it's irreversible. Because once you experience the power of full alignment, nothing else satisfies. Shallow conversations don't fulfill. Temporary highs don't impress. External validation doesn't motivate. You are now moved by something deeper, something eternal. You are no longer just surviving. You are building legacy. You are constructing inner architecture that can withstand storms, setbacks, and seasons of silence. You are no longer begging life for breakthroughs. You are becoming the type of person breakthroughs are drawn to. You are no longer searching for opportunities. You are preparing so relentlessly that opportunities search for you. And in that process, you shift from seeking confidence to becoming conviction. You shift from waiting for change to becoming the force that demands it. There is nothing missing in you. There is only more for you to unlock. You are not designed to be lukewarm. You are made to burn with purpose, to carry a presence, to leave an imprint. Every breath you take is a gift, and your greatest act of gratitude is to maximize it fully. You don't need permission to rise. You don't need approval to become the person you were destined to be. The fire inside you is not dependent on who believes in you. It ignites the moment you decide to stop waiting and start moving. You were not created to live at half capacity, operating beneath your power, trapped in patterns that don't honor your calling. You are not meant to merely survive cycles of fear, procrastination, and self-doubt. You were designed to break those cycles, disrupt the limitations, and establish a new rhythm of boldness. You are called to shift atmospheres with your presence, to walk into every room, knowing that you carry more than potential. You carry purpose that cannot be duplicated. Every second wasted on insecurity is a second stolen from your future. The longer you entertain fear, the further you drift from fulfillment. The moment you refuse to tolerate your own excuses, you unlock the pathway to massive inner transformation. Nothing changes until you change. Nothing improves until you take ownership. You have to be relentless in your pursuit of growth because life will not hand you transformation. You have to demand it with your daily actions. Weak habits will not build strong futures. Half-hearted effort will not create unstoppable results. You must push yourself when it's uncomfortable, move forward when it's uncertain, and rise higher when the weight tries to hold you down. Your destiny requires discipline. Your vision demands consistency. The dream is real, but it will die in the hands of a distracted mind. You have to be so clear on who you are becoming that you are willing to let go of everything that no longer aligns. That's what transformation looks like. Not just inspiration, but disruption. Not just excitement, but execution. You've spent enough time rehearsing limitations. Now it's time to embody power. Now it's time to become undeniable. Your greatest enemy is not failure, it's passivity. It's waiting for the perfect conditions instead of creating progress in imperfect moments. Growth does not happen in comfort. It happens in the stretch. The stretch of waking up earlier. The stretch of saying no to distractions. The stretch of doing the work even when no one claps. The stretch of being consistent when the results haven't shown up yet. This is where greatness is built, not in moments of applause, but in moments of decision. And every day you are making a decision toward your purpose or away from it, toward your higher self or back to your excuses. You can't outrun the truth. Your habits are either building your future or slowly destroying it. There is no neutral. You must rise with fierce clarity, with a heart set on fire by commitment, and a mind trained to execute no matter how you feel. That's how you break through. That's how you become the version of you that no longer needs motivation, because you've become disciplined in human form. You move because it's who you are now, and that identity is unstoppable. Absolutely. However, to clarify before I proceed, your instruction says exactly 3,000 words, but also notes exactly 500 words at the end of your message. Just to confirm, would you like this next section to be exactly 500 words, as all previous sections have been? Or do you want this one to be exactly 3,000 words? Please confirm and I'll deliver immediately. You cannot afford to think small anymore. You cannot afford to entertain the language of doubt, the vocabulary of hesitation, or the habits of average. The standard of your destiny demands that you rise with a new level of intensity. This moment is not waiting for your convenience. It is demanding your surrender. Not surrender in weakness, but surrender in power. Surrender to discipline. Surrender to vision. Surrender to your calling. Because everything you've prayed for, everything you've prayed over, everything you've asked God to do in your life, It is not delayed. It is developing. It is forming behind the scenes. But what determines if you'll receive it is whether you're prepared to carry the weight of what you asked for. That preparation begins with a crucifixion of excuses. You must choose to outgrow the environment of comfort. You must refuse to live one more day tolerating a life that doesn't reflect the fullness of your potential. You were not created to blend in with mediocrity. You were designed to stand out with excellence. But excellence doesn't come by inspiration. It comes by confrontation. You must confront every lazy thought, every fearful habit, every self-defeating attitude that has held you hostage. You must rise against them as if your future depends on it, because it does. The war is not outside of you, it is within. And the battle is between who you are and who you were meant to become. Every step toward discipline is a step away from regret. Every decision to push through is a declaration that you believe in what's ahead more than what's behind. You don't need a sign, you need a standard. You don't need more motivation, you need more consistency. You don't need perfect conditions, you need unshakable conviction. If you can align your actions with your beliefs, your breakthrough is inevitable. There's a version of you that already exists, focused, powerful, unstoppable. But it will only emerge when you make a decision to stop negotiating with your limitations. Stop waiting for permission to become who you were born to be. Stop giving fear the authority to write your story. Stop shrinking to fit places you've already outgrown. The discomfort you feel is not a curse. It is confirmation that you were built for more. Let it ignite you. Let it break you out of passivity. Let it awaken the fire that's been buried beneath years of hesitation. Your future is not a question mark. It is a choice. And the only thing standing between you and everything you're destined for is the version of you that refuses to quit. Burn the bridge to who you used to be. Erase the backup plan. Abandon the safety net. And move like your breakthrough depends on your decision, because it does. This is your time, not someday. Not when it's easier. Now, this is your hour to rise. Take command of your life to transform potential into power. Because nothing changes until you do. And everything you want is waiting on the other side of your decision. Understood. Here's the next section, exactly 500 words in pure voiceover style. You will never rise above what you continue to tolerate. Every time you settle, you silence the voice of your own greatness. Every time you excuse your weakness, you reinforce the chains that hold you back. You must decide that enough is enough. You must come to a place where you are sick of the cycle, disgusted by your own excuses, and unwilling to live one more moment beneath the weight of your untapped potential. This is not about motivation. It is about identity. You were created with intention. You were built with divine precision. There is nothing accidental about you, and nothing casual about your assignment. But that assignment will not fulfill itself. You must rise. You must focus. You must act with boldness, even when your knees shake. Power does not wait for comfort. It responds to commitment. Destiny does not show up when you're ready. It shows up when you're willing. Willing to move forward with tears in your eyes. Willing to believe again, even after disappointment. Willing to fight for what is already yours in the spirit, but still must be claimed in the natural. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not late. You are not broken beyond repair. You are at the brink of your breaking point because you are on the edge of your breakthrough. The resistance is not a sign to stop. It is a signal to push harder. Every pressure you feel is proof that purpose is pressing through. Do not back down. Do not let your feelings become your fact. Do not let temporary frustration redefine your permanent identity. You are more than this moment. You are more than the fear. You are more than the voices that told you to settle. There is fire in you. There is power in you. There's greatness screaming to be released. But it only comes out when you stop playing small and start demanding more from yourself. Growth begins where your comfort ends. Elevation begins where your excuses die. Transformation begins where your obedience lives. The future you keep praying for will only manifest when the present version of you finally chooses to obey without delay. You cannot keep waiting for clarity to obey. Obedience creates clarity. Discipline activates grace. Movement attracts favor. Stop asking for confirmation for what you already know you're called to do. Stop looking for a sign when the fire inside you is already the signal. You are enough, not because of what you've done, but because of what you were created to become. Now rise with boldness, rise with precision, rise with intentionality. and speak to the mountain of fear until it remembers your authority. You were born to rule over what once ruled over you. You were born to conquer what once crushed you. This is your turning point. This is your rise. This is your time to stand in full alignment with your calling, your purpose, your power. No more delays, no more retreat, no more pretending you're not ready. You are ready. Now move.